Okay, yeah, let me know when you're ready. Yeah. Welcome, everyone. Sorry for the little bits of delay. We had a little bit of technology challenge, and thank you for having the support here tonight to make things work for us. I would like to begin with acknowledging the territories. We acknowledge with respect the lands on which we live, work, play, and learn as the traditional and unceded territories of the Gitxsan, Haisla, Nisga'a, and Tsimshian people. We are honored to work with their children and privileged to live on these lands. Today, we're gathering in Terrace, and we specifically acknowledge that we are on the traditional and unceded lands of the Tsimshian people, with the exception of those that are on screen that can acknowledge their own territories that they are on. What's been happening with acknowledgements of territories in the organizations that I've been involved with lately is that we also take a few minutes to reflect and share a story or something that's happening in terms of learning. And I just recently read a book called I Am Monday. I'll hold it up in a second. I want to look at it as I'm speaking. And when I was reading this book, I was reflecting on how important stories are for how we can learn and move forward so that we have success for all of our students and we can look after everybody that we're looking after in education. Kojo's book, and Kojo is I Am Monday, because he is and was one of our first pediatricians in the North and the Yukon and the all of our areas in the North over 60 years ago, actually. And he's written his story about living and working up here as a pediatrician and the care he gave to families and the influences he had on education and healthcare in the North. It's very impacting to read the stories here that he shares. Really, I remember a lot of them, unfortunately, maybe because that tells my age that way. He made a big difference for education in the North. Our district was very much helpful to him and worked with him so that we could develop the child development centers that we have in Terrace, Smithers, Kitimat, and in the Yukon. He was key to having those going, and our district was key to helping with it. Plus, he was very key in when we think about it in education. He shares the stories of working with the people, the Nisga'a people, in terms of establishing the Nisga'a School District and how important it was for the school district for those children that he was and families that he was serving that way. He then makes an apology in the book as he's telling these stories, saying that when he started to write the book, he did not intend to nudge us at the end of each chapter in how we can do better and how services can continue to evolve for our children and families, both in education and healthcare. So I wanted to just read one of the many quotes in here and then urge you all to reflect on the history with his book that he's written. He's now in his 90s. He lives in New Westminster, still goes to Children's Hospital every day for coffee, by the way, and meets with a neurologist that used to come up and also look after our children here in the North. And so he's got lots of history to tell us about that we can learn from in what we're doing in education and looking after the children that we're serving in public education. But the quote that really hit me, well, they all hit me, to be honest, I had a few tears sometimes reading it, is it should be the duty today as Canadians to have joy and celebrate our artists, our educators, our elders, our medical and other workers, no matter their political, cultural, racial, or perceived differences. We are all in this world together. And he nudges us to keep working together and be as collaborative and helpful to each other and look after our children. We can. So I know the book is at Misty Rivers. It's also online, and I urge people to read it. And you'll recognize the territories, the geography. I recognize some of the children that were served, and he blinds everything that way. But it really, and he talks an awful lot about the support education gave to him coming as an immigrant from Guyana to be able to become a physician and be able to work up here with us. So it's a good read. So welcome everybody to the meeting, and now I have the pleasure of I maybe give it away, Philip, for you to introduce our speaker, my colleague that I've worked with for many years on and off, and I'm pleased to see her here, and I'll let you introduce her. I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for this opportunity. It's great to see everyone here this evening. Really happy to introduce Joanne Schroeder to the group. Joanne is here from UBC. She has been a partner and a friend with us over the last 3 years, helping us with our practices across the district. Joanne has done work with principals, vice principals, with the district leadership team. We are so lucky to have her here with us. She did some work with us this afternoon. She is going to be at one of our elementary schools for the whole day tomorrow, working with all of the teachers at one of our elementary schools here in Terrace. And on Friday, Joanne is going to be hosting a professional learning session available to college employees across the district last Friday. So Joanne, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here with us. It is such a treat to have you back with us in person again. So welcome and thank you for sharing with us today.
So Joanne, with your permission, can we introduce ourselves first? Yeah, so you know who you're talking to besides me.
I think you're in charge of me.
So you go ahead. Thank you. Yeah. I'm Margaret Workup, and I'm your board chair.
Eric, trustee from Terrace.
I'm Angie Maitland, trustee from Kitimat. Hi, Trevor Paulson. I am the chair of the Indigenous Education Committee representing Kitford.
My name is Samantha Spencer. I am the chair of the Indigenous Education Council, and I'm the representation of presidential.
Right?
Karen Gilman, trustee from Kitimat.
And trustees on the screen, Tom, Julia,
Howdy, Julia Sundell, Hazelton trustee.
Mike,
Mark Maxim, Thornhill trustee.
Wayne,
I'm Wayne Jones, trustee and steward.
and I'll turn to the superintendent to do her staff so that you know who you're talking
Good
to.
afternoon, Tracy McMillan, Superintendent for Coast Mountains. And from the district education team, we have Philip,
Hi everyone, Philip Aaron, Director of Instruction, Learning Services.
Julia,
Good afternoon, everyone. Julia DeCoste, director of the inclusive education.
Lindsay,
Cindy Bird, and superintendent and board trustee.
and as well, we have Ginger here, and I'll let Ginger introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Ginger Fuller. I'm the secretary treasurer for the district. And behind me, I have Karen.
Hi, I'm Peter Brown, director of HR, the school district.
And Rob.
Hello, I'm Rob Shipley. I'm the Director of Facility Services.
And we have one other guest with Terry on the screen. Terry?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I appreciate it. Terry Marlowe, I'm president of the Kitimat District Teachers Association and co-president of the CMTF. Thank you.
And our IT support. We can't leave you out. You're very, very important to us.
Thank you. Hi, this is Nathan from IT.
Yeah. Okay, yours, Joy.
Thank you. Well, I'm not going to take too much of your time, so thanks for inviting me while I'm here. Great to have just a few minutes to chat about compassionate systems. I don't know, Lindsay, there are going to be some slides coming up? Or... Yeah.
It's better be done.
If you feel my eye goes in wrong.
Thank you. You go into the next one after me. Will you be my person?
I can.
Oh, no, I have my own plan. So before I get into what compassionate systems is, I just want to say a couple of words about how I came to compassionate systems. So as Philip said, I work at UBC at a place called the Human Early Learning Partnership. HELP is the acronym. We've been around now for about 25 years, collecting data on how all of our kids throughout BC are doing. Most of you will be familiar with that data. It's the early development instrument, middle years development instrument. So, and I've been involved with that project. I started there in 2000 originally, actually. And what we've been learning about our kids in BC over that time is that they've been doing less well. So particularly in their social emotional development, or what we think of as sort of the precursors to mental health, later mental health challenges, we've seen trends in the direction that we don't want to see the trends. And so several of us at HELP a few years ago now, probably 9 years ago, became interested in this concept of compassionate systems, because compassionate systems was more helpful to us than just going around the province and talking about, oh, ain't it awful, things are going less well. It really was more about how can we, present an approach that can better support our kids. And so it is a departure for us. Lots of the academics at UBC look at me when I talk about compassionate systems and think I'm entirely flaky, but I'm used to it, so that's okay. But it is really what we think is the kind of approach that will be helpful to the adults in the system and certainly to the kids. Compassionate systems is one of the 3 pillars in the provincial mental health in schools strategy. So about 5 years ago now, the Ministry of Education came out with this strategy, which has been really helpful, because what that has done is allow us to really carry the work of compassionate systems to lots of the districts around the province. Compassionate systems leadership is about transforming the system. So while there are lots of components of compassionate systems that are about the well-being of adults within the system, it really is thinking about that from the perspective of how can we transform the system in a way that the whole system becomes more caring and compassionate. There's way too many words on this slide. Way back when in PowerPoint 101, they tell you, don't put so many words on the slides. The important pieces of this is that, and I'm sure you've all experienced it from your own perspective, where education is very, as it says there, complex. And to be able to be working in that complexity can be very challenging. And so at times, as it says there, we feel like we're in a bit of a vicious cycle around trying to improve things, around trying to change things, around trying to, create the kinds of conditions where we know all of the learners will be able to thrive. So what compassionate systems leadership does is really start to help people think about a different way of being in relationship with themselves, with others, and with the system. And as it says, they're really trying to enable just a culture of kindness and compassion and resilience. And it's really draws on what you're saying, Margaret, from that book, that, really having that approach is creating the kinds of systems we would like. So when I come and do the sessions here in Terrace and lots of other places, what we're doing is we're learning tools and practices in these 3 domains of development. So there's lots of work that we do around self-leadership. So how can we as individuals in the system cultivate compassion, build mindful practices, and really build that present awareness. I was saying when I was chatting with Tracy and others this afternoon that, distractibility is now considered the new smoking. Because we get ourselves so engaged with multitasking and trying to do 10 things at once. And we know that we can be more productive, we can be more influential if we're calm, if we're present, if we're with the person. So there's self-leadership, relational leadership, so really trying to bring compassion and kindness to all of the relationships we have in the system. And then there's what we talked about is systems leadership. So how do systems work? Where are what we call leverage points, or places where you can intervene to make a difference? This part is really important to me because certainly for those of you who have been around this system for a while, you will know that there's always kind of the new big things, the new ideas about how we should be introducing this program or that program. And so we really want to emphasize with compassionate systems, it's a way to light the path that you're already on. And any district that I would go to in the province, I would find that people are doing amazing work and doing all kinds of wonderful programs and bringing this lens of compassion to the work that they're already doing can really enrich and deepen it. So not wanting to fragment and put something else on people's to-do list, because we all have too long to do this already. So just briefly, what is a system? And this is an important one because we really want to talk about the system and how we can influence it. And so just as it says there, you know, a system is anything that comes together in parts wanting to create a certain outcome. And sometimes the outcome might not be explicit. So we'll all be involved in systems that are creating the kind of outcomes that we may not be thrilled about. But a system is everything from, you know, each of us as humans with the parts in our body working together to hopefully keep us alive. To this room, we're all together in a system tonight, hoping that how we work together is going to bring some the actions that we want for this school district, to the school district as a whole, to the communities, to our province, to the universe, really. All of those things are systems. And so we really want to advocate that how we show up in the system is what makes the difference. So we just think of this system here in this room tonight. We know that how all of us show up in this space is going to have quite a big difference to have what the outcome is, what is the work that we can do together. So that's really I think the most important message of compassionate systems, and working with the staff in this district, who are an amazing group of people, by the way. And that's the message to leave with them, and especially in those tough times, right? That there's a lot of challenging things going on, and I'm not naive to that. And I think we can make a difference in how we show up, and not just always having to show up as the cheerleader, glass half full kind of person, because that can get darn tiresome at times. But to be able to show up as a human, to be able to show up as your whole self. To connect with the other humans, whether they're little humans or big ones.
Mm.
So everything Compassionate Systems is built on this foundation of cultivating mindfulness and compassion. So really going back to what I was saying earlier about the power of just being present and just being calm and be able to reflect. We use this tool called grounding and check-in, and I know that that's becoming a practice in this district, where it really has two primary purposes, although there's 4 bullets there, but it's really 2 combined. First is to build your own practice of self-reflection, so to understand how you're showing up and to ground yourself. You know, we all have lives, and sometimes lives can be difficult. And so to be able to facilitate some emotional settling as we come into space is very important. And then it has the added benefit of creating a community. So not only does the grounding and check-in have a bit of a mindful practice, but then it also has a chance for people to share how they're doing. So if you are the one that's had, you know, some kind of tussle with your delightful adolescents in the morning, you're able to share that. And to be able to connect with the others in the room. It's not a long practice. You can do the grounding in just a couple of minutes. I'm going to say just a couple of words about compassion, because it is something that I don't think is always entirely understood. Empathy is a feeling word. Compassion is an action word. And so it really is when you feel that somebody else is in distress or yourself, when you act, when you reach out your arm to pat somebody on the shoulder, or you say, can I make you a cup of tea, or those kinds of things, that's compassion, okay? And the important difference about that is we're seeing more and more from the brain research. And I really like this slide, that empathy is about sharing in the suffering, and compassion is about alleviating the suffering. So particularly when people are surrounded by challenge. So if you're a teacher and you've got a really, really difficult class, and you feel that the kids in the class have all their own challenges, you can really get stuck and overwhelmed by feeling for them, by empathizing with them. You can get in a place of empathic distress really. And that, ultimately can lead to burnout. And we know that when you're in that place, the pain center in your brain lights up. Alternatively, when you feel like you're able to do something, to step towards a person and to offer them a little loving kindness, the reward center of our brain lights up. And you all will have had that experience of doing something kind and compassionate. It feels kind of darn good. We talk about it as a warm, rosy glow. And so rather than feeling that place where you're stuck with all the challenge, you actually feel like you can step out and offer something to the world. I'm going to show you just one tool. So this is not what we would call, this is what we call an absolute speed water ski over compassion. But I hope I'm giving you a little flavor of it. But we have lots of tools and practices, and I want to show you one that is one of my favorites. And I know it's one of Tracy's and others' favorites. Which is called the ladder of inference. So what these tools do is they allow us to check in with ourselves. And this one is particularly about checking in with ourselves and for potentially going into a difficult situation. And we've already made some assumptions about what's going to happen in that situation. So if you have someone in your life who you might like a little less, we all have people in our lives that we like a little less. And you're going to meet with that person. And you feel like, oh, I got to meet with Mary again, and everything's going to be the same, and I'm going to get annoyed. And in fact, sometimes what's happening when we're going into that room with Mary is we're missing that she's actually being really nice and saying some very kind things, but because we had it in our mind that she was going to be grumpy, we filter out. And we do this thousands of times a day based on our own experience and our own beliefs. But it is a really helpful tool to just remind ourselves to check in with what's going on and to listen. And, I suppose if that's the second message that I will leave about compassionate systems, the first being we are the system and how we show up makes a difference. Then the second is listening is always a better idea than talking. And so we also teach that. So I'm so excited to be into the third year of working in this district. More recently with Tracy as your newer superintendent, Bill and Julia and some of the others have been along for quite a while. And really appreciating that. Really looking forward tomorrow and Friday to working a bit more with some of the teachers in the district. It's always been hard to work with teachers for all of the reasons that you're aware of, that, teachers are busy teaching and it's hard to free them up to participate in professional development very often. So I think that's enough time for me. That's me. If you want to email me, please do. I would always love to chat more.
Well, thank you, Joanne. And it's really a pleasure to see you again. Joanne and I go back many, many years in child development centers and things like that. So we've got lots of history. Any questions for Joanne? I'm so pleased you're here. It's great. Yeah. Working with our team and passing on some messages that are very important. Yeah. Go ahead.
Perhaps just a comment that I too would also like to thank you, Joanne. It's been a pleasure to learn from you, as well as my colleagues who are further along in compassionate systems learning and leadership. So I really look forward to the journey. And not only is it helpful in your professional life, but I find it's also helpful with families and parents and siblings. Very beneficial in that respect. So thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
To be continued. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, Mike had a question. Joanne, I see your hand there now, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I wonder if you would spend a few seconds or so defining the difference between leadership and bullying.
I bet there's lots of people in this room that could do that, but, I'll give a thought from my side. So typically when I do these presentations, I have a slide about leadership. And what that slide says is that growing as a leader is synonymous with growing as a human. And so it really is about not being bossy, not being bullying, but being nurturing and open and welcoming. You know, I think the sad thing is that in our Western culture, sometimes leadership is kind of thought as being analogous to being bossy and being bullying. And in my definition, it just isn't. It's really about being welcoming and inclusive. So I don't know if that gets at your question, Mike, but that's my definition of leadership.
Great,
Yeah,
thank you.
It does seem important to me to define what a leader is in a discussion about leadership.
Yeah, well, what I always like to say is that we hope that all bosses are leaders, but all leaders are not bosses. So that helps me that it's not about a hierarchical kind of leadership. It's about a collective leadership. So thank you. Thanks for the
Thank you.
question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joanne.
Enjoy your few days with us.
I will.
Very pleased you're here. Yeah.
Beautiful. There's some.
Oh, so, yeah. Just a couple of announcements before we get on to our agenda. And the notes that I was given reflect a little bit on how busy we were in December, and that we also hope everybody enjoyed their Christmas break and got some rest and restoration happening that way. In January, our district will recognize Black Excellence Day on January 15th, as an opportunity to celebrate the achievements and contributions of Black individuals and communities, and to reaffirm our ongoing commitment to equity, inclusion, and anti-racism. We've done the introductions of everyone, and just one last notice. At the end of the meeting, we'll have a question period that's related to asking questions for what's on the agenda. And we have given out notice that prior to our meetings, that if you wanted to present to our meeting or ask a question, that you do send it to Lindsay, who's behind us, by 4 o'clock, so that we can be prepared to answer questions if we can. And a reminder that trustees at the end of the meeting will be asked to share any reports that they have. And our next meeting will be in February 25th at 5:30 at Mount Elizabeth Middle School. Spelled wrong. Okay. Yeah. So those are my announcements. We do have a quorum that way, and I now need to move to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Karen, second. Ed, all in favor? Passed. Next is we have the approval of the minutes of our prior meeting, the regular meeting of the board, November 25th, 2025. May I have a motion to approve the minutes? Angie, second. Someone, please. Ed?
Julia.
Oh, Julia, sorry. Can't look all ways at once. All in favor? Passed. And approval of the special regular meeting of the board, December 16th, 2025, on pages 11 to 15. A mover to Ed. Second. Karen. All in favor? Passed. We now have need a motion for number 5, a receipt of the records of the in-camera meetings on November 25th, 2025. A motion to receive and approve. Angie?
And Julia.
Julia? All in favor? Passed. And a summary of the special in-camera meeting on December 16th, 2025 on pages 18 to 19. Motion to accept. And Julia, thank you. All in favor? Passed. There was no business arising from the minutes to report. So we can go to number 7.1, City of Terrace Council Liaison Appointment for 2026. And help me with the name again. It's the mayor, I know. Okay. It's on page, Sean Butas. We've had some information for the board that Sean is now our liaison with the City of Terrace, and we'll arrange for the meeting with him as we can and talk about issues relevant to Terrace. And then we can move to the Superintendents of Schools Monthly Report. So I'll move it to Tracy.
Thank you, Chair. So the superintendent's report provides a snapshot that reflects the creativity, engagement, and sense of belonging across our schools, while outlining key priorities as we move into a new year of student learning, collaboration, and continuous improvement. So starting on page 24, you will learn about how 12 Coast Mountain educators became certified in CPR and AED instructors, strengthening our capacity to deliver life-saving skills to students through hands-on curriculum embedded learning. At Hazelton Secondary School, students were actively exploring post-secondary pathways through rich career programming, resulting in strong engagement and early confirmation of future plans. On page 25, highlighted there, you'll see some information about the Kildala Elementary's annual Family Craft Night, which brought families together in a celebration that continues to strengthen school community connections, as well as a UBC feature story, which highlights the inspiring journey of a Coast Mountain teacher, Jonathan Alvagy, whose path from youth in care to the classroom reflects resilience, mentorship, and the power of education. And the link is in your report. A really great story. And Jonathan currently works at Caledonia as one of the shop teachers. On page 26, you will see some information about the STEAM program at Uplands Elementary, where the grade 4-5 students combined creative data analysis and community service through hands-on STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and math, learning that supported a local animal rescue. On page 27, it will take you through how teachers and education assistants across the district are strengthening inclusive communication practices through the Hannon Teacher Talk Professional Learning in Terrace and Kitimat, as well as you'll see information about district leaders and several trustees who met with the City of Terrace Council rep to strengthen collaboration around shared priorities that support children, families, and community well-being. On pages 28 and 29, highlights how Coast Mountain School District continues to support early learning through Strong Start, Seamless Day, and Just Before, while ensuring families have access to clear information about early learning programs, available funding, and the processes to access benefits that support strong foundations and smooth transitions into schools. On page 30, you'll notice that December was a special month and definitely a time to say thank you. District staff and trustees visited schools in December to personally thank staff for their dedication and care in supporting learners every day. As well, you'll notice that each year we hold regional principal and vice principal meetings where the district leadership team creates a space for listening, shared leadership, and collaboration to support schools and communities across the district. And this year, like others, all schools were invited to contribute to the superintendent's report to help share a fuller picture of what happens across the schools in the district. So from pages 31 to 35 is the section called Caledonia's Goings On. And here you will hear about the highlights of learning, events, and everyday moments at Caledonia that reflect student voice engagement and a strong sense of community. And as well, at the end of the report, we like to include a section called the ongoing considerations. And this section provides transparency around key areas requiring continued attention and work, while also outlining some of the advocacy, planning, and thoughtful work that's underway to support students, staff, and families. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So if we can have a motion to receive the report for information, and then we'll welcome questions. Ed and Julia, any questions for the superintendent's report? I don't see any, so we'll receive the report for information and move on to the Indigenous Education Report, which I believe you're doing today.
Thank you. And I'm sharing this on behalf of the Indigenous Education Department. So again, this report provides a snapshot of culturally grounded learning, relationship-based work, and collaborative partnerships that occur across our schools, highlighting how Indigenous knowledge, culture, and community connections continue to support student enhancement, belonging, and success. On page 39, the report begins by recognizing the relational work of Indigenous support workers across schools, including Cassie Hall, Kitwanga, Sioux Laux, Caledonia, and Hazelton Secondary, with their collaboration with elders, educators, and knowledge holders. On page 39 and 40, you will read about relationship building and along a renewed focus on academic growth, attendance, encouragement, and strong partnerships with families and communities. On page 41, you will read about the Finesse Education Conference, and Indigenous support workers, vice principals, and a classroom teacher from MGA participated in the Finesse Education Conference, strengthening district school-based capacity to support culturally grounded practice, Indigenous education, and student engagement. As well, pages 42 to 44 highlight the culturally grounded learning across the schools at Kitimat City High, Cassie Hall, Sioux Laux, and Kitwanga Elementary, where they are integrating Indigenous knowledge, cultures, and the lived experience into classrooms. Page 45 to 46 talks about Caledonia Secondary and Hazelton, where students engage in cultural and land-based learning, including experiences in the Nass Valley. And this helps with deepening understanding of Indigenous governance, history, and land stewardship, while strengthening connection to school and place. On page 47, you will see highlighted the Elders in Residence and role model programming at the schools at Hazelton Secondary, Caledonia, Cassie Hall, and Kitwanga, where mentorship, storytelling, and intergenerational learning helps to strengthen cultural identity, belonging, and well-being. On page 48, you will find a chart that lists the Indigenous targeted funding supports that are provided for school-based projects at sites such as Cassie Hall, Kitwanga, Sioux Laux, Hazelton Secondary, Caledonia, and Skeena Middle School. And all of these projects are responsive to cultural learnings, land-based learning, language, and cultural revitalization and student wellness. And on page 49 provides a section about looking ahead, continuing to strengthen relationships, working with elders, the role model program, and also Hobier, Louis Riel Day, and International Mother Language Day, which is up and coming. So we appreciate the contributions that this report reflects the collective commitment across our schools to honor Indigenous knowledge as living and vital to support Indigenous learners through relationships, cultural connection, and meaningful learning opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If I can have a motion to receive this for information, and then I'll let questions happen. Karen? Okay. Angie? Any questions? All in favor of receipt of these reports? I don't see any questions, and I forgot to ask that the last one, so we'll do both together there. Standing committee, Indigenous Education Council reports. Technology is challenging me over here, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. We have a short report for you today. The Indigenous Education Council, we established in October of 2025, and so far we've held 3 formal meetings. The council represents 11 communities and includes a total of 28 members to date. We are made up of 11 communities. 10 of those nations have students who make up portions of the total number of students attending public schools within School District 82. Our shared purpose is to support the success of Indigenous learners, particularly those facing complex barriers that may contribute to disengagement from school. We are committed to strengthening collaboration among schools, administrators, teachers, and First Nation support workers to improve academic outcomes and attendance. With the 131 funding, so far we have approved the following proposals. At Caledonia, we approved the formation and support for the girls group, the dudes group, their drum group, purchase of drum kits, and a cedar weaving pilot program. We have approved 3 positions for outreach workers, 1 in each of the communities of Terrace, Kitimat, and Hazelton. We have approved Hazelton Secondary School and elder in residence for the year. And also at Hazelton Secondary School, we have approved the Sparkle program. I believe they had that last year as well, and that provides students with personal care products that are in a special room for them. We are currently finalizing our terms of reference, including determining which communities and organizations will participate in the council. This will create a path to partnership between the school district and the nations whose territory public schools operate. As a team, we will ensure our responsibility to support Indigenous student academic success with management of targeted funds and reporting. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 9th, where we will continue advancing our goals of improving academic achievement and attendance for Indigenous students.
Thank you. Thank you for presenting your report to us. We'll receive it for information. And we really welcome you to be part of our discussions and at this board level and willing to work with you to share and to work forward to accomplish the goals that you have. I welcome any questions anybody may have.
Is that correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
Another list, yeah.
10 listed now. Okay. Is that what you need?
Well, that was my question. You know, the one the event.
Well, because 1 is in the community, it's in the school, community. Yeah,
Thank you.
so.
Okay. Thank you for the clarity. Any other questions or comments? Welcome to the meetings. You're welcome to ask questions at any time and we'll work away together. Great. Okay, we can move on then with the agenda to.
We're just gonna excuse ourselves.
Okay, certainly. Yep.
These children.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Go safely. We'll prepare for Ed to take over in a moment there with the business committee report. Okay.
The business committee report, we met on January the 14th, 2026. The minutes are attached. The recommendation is that the minutes of the business committee meeting held January 14th, 2026 be received for information.
So moved by Ed, a seconder, please. Karen, all in favor? Passed.
And that is the report.
Oh, okay. Karen, we're moving to you then for the education committee at 11.12.
Yes. The education committee meeting was held on January 14th. The minutes are attached. Recommendation is the minutes be received for information.
So moved by Karen, a seconder, please. And
Julia.
Oh, Julia, okay, thanks. All in favor of receipt of the minutes?
Hey, hey,
So,
hey,
questions?
hey.
Question? Have you got your hand up? I can't,
Fine.
pardon?
Are you talking? I had a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, on page 56 of it, it refers to the distinctions between absenteeism and truancy. And I wonder if somebody would explain to me what the difference between absenteeism and truancy is.
Hey, you willing to try and answer, or shall we answer after?
We'll take the question.
We'll take the question. We'll take the question and get back to you, Mike, so that we make sure we give you the right definitions.
Okay, I had another question for page 57. It refers to transitioning from the Moodle platform to Brightspace, which I'm assuming is just two different programs or computer programs. But then it says in regard to online and brick and mortar. So what is that relationship between the shift between those two programs and the online and brick and mortar strategies?
Do you want to, can we get back to you, or do you want to answer the question?
Sure, I could, sure,
Sure.
yeah, so can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mr. Maxwell?
I can.
Okay, yeah, so Moodle and Brightspace, you're right, those are two different programs. We are moving towards doing more work with Brightspace. And it can be offered through distance learning, where a student could remote in, say, from their home. Or it could also be offered in a school, and that's where the brick and mortar reference is made.
Okay, thank you. Was the Moodle incapable of that versatility?
It's just yes, and it's an older program, so we're basically upgrading.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? The report has been received. Thank you. Anything else, Jared? No. Nope. Okay, there were no business arising from the minutes to report, and we move on to the trustee board chair report for January 2026, which is in your package. And I also am adding one item to just verbally discuss and we try and problem solve with, and that is in terms of the National School Board School Trustee meeting in Whistler in the spring. We need to have a dialogue about the cost of that and the feasibility of attending that way. So, but I'll start with my report first, and I wanted to thank Ed on behalf of us all for taking on the chair of the regional, all of our boards in our branch, and working very hard to get us having dialogues and prepare for our April meetings in Vancouver with motions, etc. So thank you, Ed. I appreciate that we're getting the work done and that we're looking at motions and advocacy that we can do for our students and our educators and our system of education. In looking at these motions, I, of course, read and look at different things all the time. And I wanted to reference for trustees, if they're interested, have a look at the British Columbia Office of Human Rights Commissioner's report. I printed it off so I could write and highlight on it. It's interesting that there's a number of recommendations in this for education, a number of recommendations that have been there for a number of years, which was a little disappointing to read because they're good recommendations on how education system could improve. And we're not doing that in our province. So we have some work to do to push with the ministry and ourselves to be able to accomplish what is identified in regards to human rights in our province and how we can be looking after each other or being respectful for each other's. And then the other item that I mentioned in my report is the trip to Whistler. The Canadian trustees meeting is in Whistler in July. It would cost approximately, and thank you, Ginger, for giving us some quotes or possible quotes. It could cost close to $3,500 or $3,300 per person to attend. I myself feel that's a lot of money that we don't have maybe in our budget, and ask Ginger to look at our trustee budget and what we're doing, and to look at our policy that we have in terms of education for trustees and attending meetings. It's time to review it and see how we can be efficient and effective and still participate in valuable learning. I myself, and I welcome trustees to just talk about this, and whether we can come to a decision or not, I don't know. I am feeling that if we do spend the monies and we have the monies in the budget, because it's a learning that would help us to continue to be trustees, that it's only those that are committing to run again attend, that we don't all attend. That was my first solution in terms of looking at things. But even then, because I know there's probably 4 or 5 of us running again, that's a lot of monies. Other boards are struggling with this, and this is why I suggest we look at our education, our budget, and how we approve what conferences to attend to. Other districts actually give each trustee X amount of dollars for the term of their office of election, and then trustees make the decision to attend, don't attend everything that's happening. We've been very fortunate, and we go as a team, and we've been attending BCPC, BCSTA, etc. And there has been a lot of cost savings by doing them virtually, which is something to think about as well. So I think it's time that we put it on the table to review it and look at it and see. If we want to think about it a bit, because nobody's jumping up to speak yet, what we could do is put it on the agenda for February. But I ask that we reserve a number of rooms at Whistler because it's going to be a problem, but we can cancel them up to 30 days before the conference in July. So let's just be a little bit protected and maybe do 4 or 5 rooms so that we can decide cancel or not cancel, and give us time to work through this issue. I checked a couple of times, and I welcome my colleagues to check and stuff. The registration cost for the conference doesn't have an early bird fee versus a later one. It's a set fee, because I didn't want to miss an early bird fee, but there isn't one. It's just a set fee all the way along. So it's the hotel rooms that I think we should go ahead and do something with now so we can save monies, and then put it for February to make a decision as to, and get a little bit more information. Sorry, Ginger, I hate to give you more work. A little bit more information what's happening with our governance budget and where we're at. Anybody want to talk about that or say something? Go ahead.
So when it comes to the governance budget, yes, I can very much so look at what's happening with that budget and what kind of monies are there. What I wouldn't be able to do is change how we budget this within the time period that you're talking about, because I have to amend the budget by the end of next meeting. And so creating a Pro D travel budget for each trustee for this school year calendar is not something that I will be able to do unless a decision is made today. But I can look at the budget and see if there is, areas where there's been cost savings or money available, and I can give you that information.
So is our board members comfortable that we just ask Ginger and team to put it on the fact that we're doing all policies reviewed and get to it when you can, not that we have to have it done now to make a decision? Is that a comfort?
Or if we need to provide, in booking we have to do, the hotel and registration, we have to be done together. So kind of a drop down, when you go on to the portal. And so it says do not go through the hotel directly.
So you can get the free. Okay, well, maybe we just, I don't know, what do we do? I don't want to register because there's no refund. Because I look just these, you could cancel.
It does say, hotel requirements are reflected through the conference registration system and may be added or updated through May 25th, 2026. After registration closes, the room will be sent to the hotel.
So the last time we did the conference, we ended up with a small hotel on the outside of town. We just shuttled in, and I think, to be honest, Carol just did it separately, not through the portal. So maybe we just explore if there's any possibilities of not missing an accommodation with not doing it through. Yeah, sorry, Mike? Yeah, I'm looking the wrong direction. You had a.
Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I've been out of town for more than a month. With the result is that I'm now taking 24-hour care of my mother, and future travel arrangements for me will be dependent on whether I still need to provide that care to my mother. And besides which, if I decide to go to that Canada-wide meeting, I will be paying for it myself anyways, I expect.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing, Mike, and wishes for the best for your mom, comfort and the care that you're giving. So is there a comfort, maybe we just explore the possibilities of accommodations and prices and not go through the registration system and I don't, yeah, let's do it that way. And then we'll make some decisions in February as we get some more information from Ginger.
So I'll be sure to look for information and have it to you prior to the meeting so that you can have a chance to digest it and maybe even talk about it amongst yourself before the meeting, so you have time to weigh the information. So I will commit to having it to you by the 19th. Is that okay?
Great. And then just lastly, go ahead.
What are the dates?
July 6th to 9th or something like that. Oh, good. And you don't rely on my memory. Days. Yeah, we were close. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Can I also just share, just for those, when I did the calculation of the rate, I included airfare, the hotel based on the rate that we have here, the registration fee, as well as shuttle to and from Whistler from the airport, and meals for the days or partial days that you won't receive food from the conference itself. So I tried to be pretty wide in my net of what I included in the number.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, gave us good insight, but think about what to do. So lastly, in just my report, I was able to be in Port Alberni and meet with Pam Craig, who's a fellow trustee as well. And last time they showed me their new high school, which hopefully we get them at some point because it's amazing down there. Their school is great. This time she showed me their outdoor learning program and the success students are having out on land education. Wonderful to see. I appreciate what we're doing here, trying to do those programs as well. So that's my report. I can move to receive it. It's there, and we can move to trustee reports. Any trustee have a report? Ed?
I was at the concert, the community concert and the Caledonia Band concert. They had 70 people on stage at the end and did two performances together. And it was truly amazing. And the ages range from grade 6 through to 77. So it's truly an integrated program, and I think underlines the importance of the community involved in the RMA Lee Theater, and that the venue for that is more than suitable to handle those large kinds of orchestras. I have been approached, I'll be honest, about the cost for this, and the community uses it, and with that community use, a lot of our students also use the facility. So there's a lot of benefit there. And with the music festival coming up, there is concern among the parent groups that this be an expense. And so they're hoping that the board might consider in some way alleviating that. I believe there's a letter coming as well. But I wanted to mention that now because I know it's weighing on the minds of many people in that organization.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, ma'am.
Who's asking us to alleviate costs?
The people that organize the music festival.
Thank you.
And the letter apparently is supposed to be in your hands.
No, I haven't seen it yet, no.
But I wanted to mention it here.
Yeah,
So it's on there.
Thank you for mentioning it. I know I gave Tracy the heads up that it's coming because I was also approached by the music association or the gala, the people saying they're struggling with their costs. And it is what students are. Other trustees for a report. Anything else happening?
Over Julia.
Julia, go ahead.
I just have a question. If the board is expected to vote on whether or not we're going to waive fees, can we have some more information about who the request is from? What exactly are they, nonprofit, not nonprofit? Which communities do they serve, and how much are we actually waiving? What's the cost?
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's what's in the letter, but I don't know. I've just been approached in the community saying it's a challenge, and I've told them to write them a letter and let us know what the details are.
Yeah, but we're going to need some information as well about what is the cost of renting the space. I don't know anything about it. So if we could have like a briefing note from staff regarding that would help make a decision.
That's what I was just gonna say is that when I come to the board to make a decision, it will be in your package with a briefing note with all the information.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Other trustee reports? Any questions before we adjourn?
Yes, Chair, if you don't mind.
Harry, go ahead.
Yeah, very short, and I appreciate, thank you. There's just two short questions arising from the minutes or from the board meeting. One I noted in the Indigenous Ed report, it had a chart acknowledging elder and knowledge holders role models in the schools. And I noticed that almost all the schools, including KCH, were represented. And that's fantastic. I think that's great. I'm just wondering if there's work going on to try and have elders and role models as well represented in the 3 other Kitimat schools. That would be great. So that I don't need an answer to that at all right now, but I just wanted to put that out there. Or if anybody can comment briefly on it, and then the other one's a quick question.
We can take the question.
Okay, that's perfect. I appreciate it.
Terry, it's a combination of the schools requesting and then now working with the IEC for that.
Perfect. No, thanks, Tracy. I appreciate it. I believe that was Tracy. You can barely see you there. And the other question is, I noticed in the superintendent report, you had a little thing on strengthening school and city connections in Terrace. And just a quick note, your council rep here is actually out of the country right now, so, but he is my colleague, but I wondered if at some point we might also look at doing something with schools and yourself and Kitimat too. That would be a great idea. So I just wanted to pass on that. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate that, and it was on our plans. Yes.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It definitely is. We've reached out to both.
Perfect. Thanks for that, and I appreciate the answers.
Any last questions or comments? No? And I have a motion for adjournment. So moved by Karen and Ed and Angie. We're adjourned. Thank you all.
Bye.
Did we reach out? Did we get? Are we done? We reached out.
Yeah, we did. I think
Thank
it would have been called back. Yeah.
If I agree to donate 50% of the cost to travel through, would that make a difference on your